Hey, this is the Rabbi Levi, and we're going to talk about the 90D. Let's go. When it comes to the 90D and what it does, they wanted to say 10 frames per second, but I get more than 10 frames per second out of this thing. I get at least 87 frames per second, and I like to shoot it in burst rates. I don't like to fully shoot it all the way up. So burst rates with the 90D is perfect, and this is actually a cinematic view. And since I don't shoot with auto turned on and I do it manually, I'm gonna sit here and do everything manually. So when it comes to the 90D, it is a DSLR with a 32.5 megapixel sensor, crop sensor, but it's beautiful. This is my cinematic color. I'm pretty much color drained cinematically, but hey, this is a real probable camera. Now, it's not for beginners, it's very for professionals, especially like blogging, webcam, and I do have an external mic on top of the camera. So I'm getting raw mic right out of my Rode mic, and I'm only using one because the other one is currently on charge. Now, today we have different cameras that shoot at different frames per second. You're not really shooting 4K for 60 frames per second. On here you can shoot 4K for 20 frames per second and 30 frames per second. Anybody who is shooting 4K and 60 frames per second, I say that's a waste of video. The 4K and the 90D for 30 frames per second is very beautiful, especially with the cinematic look here. But do you really need 60 minutes of video to prove your point? At some point, the video must stop. At some point, you got your point across in the 30 time limit frame, or maybe you didn't. But you can stop, rinse, and repeat. It's not hard to do. You don't need the full. I think that's just being greedy to have 60 minutes of 4K. I don't even know what type of computer, or you definitely not downloading that much to the cell. The 90D doesn't have a lot of data to shoot as 4K. It does face tracking and eye tracking, and you can turn this on interchangeably. I noticed that even in the focus, as I push the focus, you could push the focus and push info, and you could turn the eye tracking off, or you could turn the face off and get a square. But face tracking and subject tracking with the 90D is very good. I mean, the focus in and out, just focus. This is very cinematic, but I'm not using a cinematic lens. But here's the thing. Every video must stop, and not being able to shoot 4K in 60 frames per second is not even that important. Let's talk about why it's not that important. It's not that important because most videos and music videos that I've shot have only ended by shooting maybe 2 or 3 minutes of the video in exact. I guess the 60 would enable you to capture multiple images, but you still not using the whole 60 4K for any video, and you're just showing off when you're doing that. The 30 time limit of this 4K is well rounded for what I do as a news journalist. Being a news journalist has brought me to the 90D. Now, I once was taking pictures with the 80D. The 90D was a step up. I also came from the Rebel brands of cameras, so when it comes to the Rebel brand of cameras, they were like a purchase point and shoot. By the time I got the 80D and learned what the 80D was really about, that changed my whole perspective of what a professional camera was and what I was looking out and looking for in a professional camera, if they actually exist. But I was hindered to playing with the Rebel cameras. I was hindered because that's all I could afford. Until one day, something magically happened. Something magically happened that I never thought would happen in my life. I broke my Rebel camera. Bam! I broke it. It started telling me the extra batteries would not function and add up to it no more. So I tried to go in there and clean it out and get it all together. And I disconnected one of the terminals. Now, because Amazon took my personal account and turned it to a business account, I no longer have this receipt to replace my T7i. And I wanted to ship it off to Canon so bad for replacement, but I end up with it just in the bag, dying over time. The T7i did more than a usual DSLR of its type. The T7i did some amazing video, amazing pictures, but it wasn't professional. What makes it professional? What makes a camera professional? Let me explain to you a professional camera. By the time I got the 80D Canon EOS, I was taking pictures of birds and clouds, and I was amazed about the robust, the heavy feeling, the real professional feel of this crop sensor camera versus the Rebels. The grip was so amazing to be able to hold and maneuver this camera, even though it was heavy. You could put heavier lenses on it and function with the 80D. And because it had 24.2 megapixel sensor, it was not bad for photography or 1080p video. And the news actually entertained me with the idea of shooting the news. And I never knew I'd be shooting the news, but hey, they say we see your videos. Would you like to do video for us? Great. Let's do some video for the news. This ought to be fun. This ought to be fun. And it was fun. It was definitely fun. I'm ready to do it any day they need me. So, what happened to the 80? I got it for a cheaper price, but it still was heavy. I came to a conclusion that it was not going around my neck. It was impossible to go around my neck with the lenses I accumulated and the lenses I already had. I didn't choose the 80D. I chose the T7-8i because I knew that 1080p on this particular camera was decent. Except for the 4K was crap. But I was fine with that. And my tripod is unbalanced, but that's okay. You wouldn't notice if I hadn't told you. But so the T8i never made it to the house. It was stolen from shipping, and I had to call Canon and I definitely had to call Amazon and let them know I didn't even receive the camera. And I have to, I'm due to shoot a wedding and I need a wedding camera. This is not gonna work for what I did not receive. One of the most beautiful things about the 80D was its megapixel and the sensor size and how robust and weather sealed it was. It was remarkable. I never had a camera with a top window before, but this actually came with a top window. What was important about the top window? I ended up taking pictures based off the top window versus the optical viewfinder and the back screen. Just knowing my settings and how I had it set, I was able to create some pictures that you wouldn't imagine just by not even looking. And it was gorgeous. But I was in an open field, and of course there were water and bridges. So just to hold it and focus it and take pictures with it without looking was amazing with the top window. The top window even came with a light on the 80D, and the light that it illuminated at night. And I liked it to take the 80D out for night. Me and the 80D and the Nifty 50 opening up at 1.8. It was pretty interesting to see how it captured low light images. It was amazing. It was used, so it had a couple bruises, but at the end of the day, most of the camera worked, so I was satisfied with that. I did get the job done. I got the job done so well, I ended up buying a wireless mic for my camera. And later on, I caught a YouTube video that said they came out with a new one. And it's the last one that they'll come out with. And it was the 90D. I did my research on the 90D, and it was not like the T8i or the 80D. The sensor size and the resolution in the 90D was pleasing to me. Did I want to step up on my resolution? Yes, I did. Was it necessary to change my resolution from the 6,000 by 4,000 to 60,000? Yeah, it was. It was important to me. I felt like since it's the last DSLR I purchased, or the last camera I would afford, I think I'll invest in it. Well, it still was over $1,000 to perform. And, you know, me being me, I had some good glass anyways. So, with good glass, you just need a good camera. The 80D still did what I needed to do for the most part. But I wanted to upgrade. I wanted to see what this 90D looked like. And it looks like the 80D, only it's different. It's more powerful. It's more dynamic. It's more control. I like it. I like the effects. I like what it does. Now see, the aperture changes and it gets darker, but I can fix that. I like the 90D. It's weather sealed, robust. It's not even that heavy in this, you know. I can put the battery grip and the tripod together, but I cannot put the gimbal and the battery grip together unless I get a heavier gimbal. But it's so many accessories to a gimbal. You can end up buying a dummy battery and sticking it in and having an alternative power source if that's what you need. But the 90D in itself and the 80D are good on batteries. That's why they'll outlast mirrorless cameras in the future. I got it for a cheaper price, but it still was heavy. I came to a conclusion that it was not going around my neck. It was impossible to go around my neck with the lenses I accumulated and the lenses I already had. I didn't choose the 80D. I chose the T7-8i because I knew that 1080p on this particular camera was decent, except for the 4K was crap. But I was fine with that. And my tripod is unbalanced, but that's okay. You wouldn't have noticed if I hadn't told you. But so the T8i never made it to the house. It was stolen from shipping, and I had to call Canon and I definitely had to call Amazon and let them know I didn't even receive the camera. And you know, I have to. You know, I'm due to shoot a wedding and I need a wedding camera. This is not going to work for what, you know, I did not receive. One of the most beautiful things about the 80D was its megapixel and the sensor size and how robust and weather sealed it was. It was remarkable. I never had a camera with a top window before, but this actually came with a top window. What was important about the top window? I ended up taking pictures based off the top window versus the optical viewfinder and the back screen. Just knowing my settings and how I had it set, I was able to create some pictures that you wouldn't imagine just by not even looking. And it was gorgeous. But I was in an open field, and of course there were water and bridges. So just to hold it and focus it and take pictures with it without looking was amazing with the top window. The top window even came with a light on the 80D, and the light that it illuminated at night. And I liked it to take the 80D out for night. Me and the 80D and the Nifty 50 opening up at 1.8. It was pretty interesting to see how it captured low light images. It was amazing. It was used, so it had a couple bruises, but at the end of the day, most of the camera worked, so I was satisfied with that. I did get the job done. I got the job done so well, I ended up buying a wireless mic for my camera, and later on, I caught a YouTube video that said they came out with a new one. And it's the last one that they'll come out with. And it was the 90D. I did my research on the 90D, and it was not like the T8i or the 80D. The sensor size and the resolution in the 90D was pleasing to me. Did I want to step up on my resolution? Yes, I did. Was it necessary to change my resolution from the 6,000 by 4,000 to 60,000? Yeah, it was. It was important to me. I felt like since it's the last DSLR I purchased, or the last camera I would afford, I think I'll invest in it. Well, it still was over $1,000 to perform. And, you know, me being me, I had some good glass anyways. So with good glass, you just need a good camera. The 80D still did what I needed to do for the most part, but I wanted to upgrade. I wanted to see what this 90D looked like, and it looks like the 80D, only it's different. It's more powerful. It's more dynamic. It's more control. I like it. I like the effects. I like what it does. Now see, the aperture changes and it gets darker, but I can fix that. I like the 90D. It's weather sealed, robust. It's not even that heavy in this, you know. I could put the battery grip and the tripod together, but I cannot put the gimbal and the battery grip together unless I get a heavier gimbal. But it's so many accessories to a gimbal. You can end up buying a dummy battery and sticking it in and having an alternative power source if that's what you need. But the 90D in itself and the 80D are good on batteries. That's why they'll outlast mirrorless cameras in the future. They will outlast mirrorless cameras in the future for their speed, their technology, and the ability of battery life. I could shoot with this camera basically for 4 days without it completely dying. That's what video, 4K video, slow motion, pictures, events, the whole thing. I could do it with just these two batteries on the 90D. It's an amazing device when you got two batteries or one. Now I done all this with one battery. All this with one battery because I never knew about the battery grip. You know, the battery grip was, to me, designed to take vertical shots, so I can get the vertical aspect of life. But no, that's not what it did. It also took two batteries, so I had to order another battery. Just so I can, you know, it's irritating letting one battery charge and you watching the dot blink all day. You know what that feel like. Especially you with the mirrorless cameras that die all the time. You know what that feel like. To have to watch. When I bought the T7i, and it came with a small battery also, I had to sit there and wait for that one battery to charge before I honestly got to play with it. Not with the 80D, not with the 90D. The battery is huge. Heavy enough to control the power of the camera and not waste your time. Like the mirrorless cameras, they'll waste your time. Even with all the technology that is designed in it. They didn't give it enough power to even use it. By the time you kick it in 8K for video, the battery is at 0.5%. Guess what? My batteries are still charged. The power of the 90. But it's being cinematic. It won't have no color. It won't really have no definition. It'll just have dynamic range. That's all it's gonna have. It's great dynamic range. And the blurry background, I could switch to the 50 and get that look if I want to. This is just the 18. It opens up at 3.5, so most of the background would be blurry, but on a telescopic lens, if you really want the blur, you'd have to zoom in and I would have to step back. So you'd slow it down and you'd have to zoom in and I'd step back and you'll see now I get that blurry background. It's the only way you can get it with a telescopic lens because it's designed to crop the background on a zoom. That's interesting, right? So now my background is somewhat deleted. But I know in a prime lens, it gets more serious. And it depends on the closer I am. The further I am, it'll focus. But the closer I am, it'll focus on me. The focus of the 90D is amazing. And you can get so close to where it's not even face track anymore, or you can basically be still. I noticed no rolling shutter, even in the electronic mode. Now the advantage of the mirrorless cameras, they can use their electronic mode continuously. I have to be in live view to use my electronic mode, but that's fine. And first curtain, this thing is a beast. I was shooting a bowling event and I put it in live view to take the pictures of the bowler, and it took every picture of the bowler as he bowled with no rolling shutter. It clearly used the first curtain is amazing on the 90D. I haven't really used the mechanical shutter, but I noticed the mechanical shutter is definitely louder. What you're getting right now is raw cinematic view from the Canon EOS 90D. It looks beautiful, but even with the contrast of it, it's only cropped because basically I zoomed in. But my tripod can go higher, and the background just goes darker as I come closer. That's sweet. Now for video, you can go inside of it and definitely adjust how high the ISO can go and how low it can go. In video, you can do this too. So for video, it is set to go as high as the ISO can go in video, which I think is 12,000 and something. But the 2560, is not really usable on the crop sensor. But mostly I've been shooting in decent light. The only thing about decent light is the temperature of the light. You always gotta make sure the temperature of the lighting that you're shooting in is in focus with the camera in itself. Because even if I turn to a different light, you'll see a different texture of the lighting and the situation here. But I love the background of this as I spin it around. I love the background, nice wooded background. You really wouldn't see too much. And like I say, this is a telescopic lens, the 18x135. All my life I was purchasing lenses to get me the distance because I was shooting for birds. Birds get you paid. Taking bird pictures and taking certain images get you noticed. It shows you your skills. Now, with the new cameras and their ability to track everything, I don't think you're a photographer now. And when people post mirrorless camera pictures, it don't impress me because everything I do is with the 90D, and the 90D don't do too much tracking. It'll track as much as I want it to track, but it don't do too much tracking, and we not pre-shooting over here. What I love the most is I don't have no light to show you that I'm practically recording. There's no light. I don't want a light on here to show you that I'm recording. You just need to know that it's in record mode, or you don't need to know it. I love that ability to not have that light that you know that I'm recording. This is an amazing device. It's inventive. It's all black. It's like a blackout. You never know what it is or where it's at. And I love it. I know it came in different colors, but I prefer the black version of it. And the 80D definitely was a black version too. The 90D can shoot at 1/6000th of a second in electronic mode, faster than the eye can blink. In electronic mode, you do not get the continuous shooting. You don't get that. You do get the autofocus and everything else, but you don't get the continuous shooting. But in first person, you get to tear some stuff up. And I don't use a regular SD card for my 90D. No, I don't. I don't use a regular SD card. The SD card that I actually use for my 90D is a high-powered card. It gives me the frames per second I need to do those professional shooting events that I do. And it reads at 260. That's how fast it writes. And when I'm downloading, it's downloaded at 300. So snatching video off this card is very easy. So this is like one of the cards I use mostly for video, and the other cards are just for photography, because in photography you're not trying to pull real quick to get into the news media or none of that. It's all about the video. That's what you got to get. Now, you don't have to shoot the video in 4K, 6K, 8K. That just adds flavor to the video and your skills. You can actually shoot in 1080p. I've seen some people do it with their cell phone. That was interesting too. But they can't outpower a 90D. They can't outpower a professional. I thought I heard a person with an iPhone say something. I thought I heard a person with an iPhone say something. Even in low light, as you see, it's darkening. You still can see me. And low light, no light, the 90D can handle all situations, even if it rains. In cold temperatures, the only thing you'd have to worry about is your lens fogging up. You won't have to worry about the 90D or the 80D. And I gotta admit, the 70D and the 60D and the 5D Mark IV, they all was the same. Durable, robust, heavy. You felt like you had a powerhouse in your hand, and actually you really did. But no matter what camera you purchase, remember, it's always your skills, because everything I do is manual. So it's always your skills. It's not the camera. You know, I talked to a guy who had a fixed screen to his camera, and I had the T7i. And I said, I think I need a better camera. He said, why did you need a better camera if you're going to keep taking them trashy pictures you've been taking? And I was like, wow. He was like, look at my camera. I'm getting too old to be bending down, taking pictures. You got a flip screen, swivel screen. You can get up top, you can get low. You still taking your pictures eye level and over them. You can get down low with the flip screen and take your pictures. Try getting eye level with your subject. I was like, wow. You know, I was arrogant and I wanted to slap him, but at the same time, what he was educating me on, I had to listen to it because it was very important. And then he turned around and told me, did you know the camera takes 2 pictures? I said, no, it takes 1 picture continuously. He said, no, it takes 2 pictures. Give me your camera. And as he took my camera, he took a picture of the flower and the rocks, And then he wiggled the camera and took another picture, and the rocks disappeared, but the flower was still there. And I got upset because I didn't know how to do this. I had, just give me my camera, man. What is you doing? How did you take that beautiful picture like that? It's just, just learning from an experienced photographer. That was a conversation I was expecting to have, and as I meet him in a different town and have a word with him, we was just, silently shooting, and I had the T7i, and he had like the Mark 5D Mark 4 or 2 at the time, and he talked about his screen, how it was fixed to the camera, and I had a swivel screen, and he just, dogged me for taking pictures the way I was taking them. So it didn't hurt me. It just made me a better photographer, knowing what I had. So I use those techniques as of today, because after experience and talking with him about what I can do and what I should be doing, I became a champion in photography. But this is about the 90D, not me. The 90D is still holding its own. Now, some functions you still can operate with the 90D, even in video, such as your ISO. You can adjust your ISO in video and still record. It doesn't, change anything. So that's something amazing also. And with the touchscreen, you can do most of it from the touchscreen, or you could push the info button and turn everything off and just look at the clean image of the camera itself. It doesn't have a major big articulating screen, but the articulating screen that faces to you is great for YouTubing, web blogging, and I'm basically blogging right now about the 90D. I love the 90D. It's very robust, and I've been playing with it for some time. I haven't had it a year yet. I've been playing with it for about maybe 8 months, and it's been everything I dreamed, or everything I paid for. It's been amazing. It's been amazing for low light, no light, half a light, some of the light. I even shot stars with this thing. I didn't know how to shoot stars. I done shot stars with this thing. It's cloudy out here right now. It's kind of cool, but it's cloudy. But, I got my chinchilla on, so we good. And with that being said, it's the conclusion of the 90D. Now, what was important about it was also the headphone jack and the mic jack. Now, the flap on the 80D folded down. The flap on the 90D kind of flips up. Kind of gets in the way a little bit, but because it helps with the weather seal, I won't remove it. I just work around it. It doesn't come with the nifty hot shoot electric mic attachment, but it does come with a hot shoot attachment for a mic, so that's even a plus. It didn't need all the extra stuff because it probably would drain the battery more. But I found out what really drains the battery: the image stabilizer and the lens in itself. That's what powers the battery, and that's what decharges the battery. And going in live view most of the time will too. Over time, with the 90D and 4K, you will feel wear and tear on the battery, and it does get a little warmer than taking pictures, but it hasn't got warm enough to tell me that it quits. It hasn't got warm enough at any time to say, hey, look, I quit working. You gotta let me cool off and let me think about it a few minutes from now. It hasn't done that yet, and it hasn't killed the batteries where I needed to charge them over a series of time. So that's a plus for me too. Battery life in any camera is always a plus. You gotta remember that when you search for a camera, look at the battery life. Don't look at what the camera can do so much. Look at the battery life and how long that camera can actually do those things that they say it could do. Hey, this is my review on the 90D. I'm Rabbi Levi for TV Fire Image Folded Money. Y'all have a good day. I'm out.